Hello, 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 hello. Audible है। मेरी बात है। तो मैं किस जा टेस्ट ऑफ आते
हाँ
हैं।
हेलो
हाँ कैंड कैंड
ఏంటా I think you show this.
Oh, I can share this. Yeah. So let me now introduce you to the other most sort of technique in the family of regression called the logistic regression. Okay. So logistic regression is also something which is often used in research. Now, just to get started, what we'll do is we'll pick up a data set from orange and then dig deeper into that. So let's get into data sets. Okay. So there are plenty data sets in orange which leads to logistic regression, but we will pick up some standard good data sets. Uh, let's pick up the housing we used was a standard for that. Let's get what can we get as here. Marketing, yes, bank marketing can be done categorical. Now that can also be used. Anything else? Real data set only I will pick up. Now, how do I pick up the data set which is suitable for logistic regression is that basically look at the target. If it's categorical, then you can choose logistic regression as a technique. But then I would prefer taking up something which is synthetic data. This is so typically those data sets where because most often in management we tend to use logistic regression technique when there is a dependent variable or the target variable which has two categories. So there are a lot of use cases in management like that. One is the attrition. Employee attrition is one example. Either they leave the organization or don't leave the organization. Two possibilities. Or so you, our main question would be, what are the factors which lead to exit of a employee? Okay. Is it a toxic environment or is it the like what are different reasons why people leave organization? Right. Same when it comes to marketing, it could be about why people leave one service. Okay. Or they prefer one product over the other. Like in your case, for instance, uh, uh, like advertising is preferred more. Or anything. So like that. Preference aspect, okay, one over the other. Right. So, or whether that particular person is a potential customer or not. Okay. So that is there are two possibilities.
And I personally will achieve this target.
That's fine. So, achieving target or not. Okay. So such cases, it's okay to use logistic regression for research. Okay. So,
Question. If there is yes or no category, then only we can use logistic.
yes, it could be yes or no, it could be preference.
Okay.
Okay, preference, okay, let's say you prefer tea over coffee. That also can be used.
What if there are three options? For example,
There are three options also is there, but they are very unlikely cases. We have something called as multinomial logistic regression.
okay.
Okay. I'm today trying to discuss something which is often used called binary logistic regression. So that's easy to interpret. And also there are more use cases of such kind rather than the other. Okay. Even for that matter, multinomial logistic regression, it is a series of binary cases. So if I say three categories are there, okay, then you would choose one over the other, then one over the other, like that. So it becomes a combination like kind of thing. Okay. Yeah. So let me. Okay, I think then we will stick to this. The bank marketing is there. So I think that might, because it's a real case. Bank marketing. And also there is a reference paper to that. So this is the data set, bank marketing. So categorical. Okay. So let's see data from direct marketing campaigns, phone calls of a Portuguese bank, the classification goal, phone calls of a Portuguese bank. So the data. The classification goal is to predict if the client will subscribe a term deposit given the profile of a client that contains attributes such as age, job type, marital status, education, information on previous loans, and others. You can even pull out this paper. Just check this paper out. If it's available, then it will help us in understanding.
Section.
Visual support system, I think it's a installation.
Yes.
You should be able to take that paper. No? You are able to take the paper?
Yes.
Pull out that. Right? Okay. Now, so we have picked up that data set. So you just double click on bank marketing. So that has got highlighted now. Let's have a look at this data set. They have got a paper also. Good. And refer that. Let's look at the data table. To understand more about this data set. Okay, so you can see they have a dependent variable called y, okay, which has values as no and yes. So targeted two values. Okay, interestingly, they also have some missing data. 4.8% missing data. So what is that missing data they have? Some P days. So if there, wherever you see the question mark, that means it's a missing data. Okay. Now, often we try to take care of this missing data by removing those rows or columns. Okay. So let's first figure out where are the missing data located. So how do we figure that out? One way is to, I think, look at feature statistics. Just go to feature statistics. Okay. This data. And there you will find missing values, missing section, right? So you can identify those columns which are missing. Which columns have missing? Everything except, I think, this P days is something which is yeah. So 96%. That is the whole column. That is the only column which has missing values.
Yes.
So no point keeping that column. Yes. Okay. Let's understand that P days, what it is, and other things. But now, okay. P days is the one which. So what does I think they might have mentioned in the paper, right? Or the paper. Is there a column called P days in this? Well, P days. They are not kept it. Means they are also not used it. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we do not have any idea of P days, so let's keep it as it. So P days is one which we need to bring. So what we do is from data sets, we go to select columns. Under the select columns, we will take out this P days outside the system. Now, the first immediate thing, if you recall the last few sessions, I talked about some techniques to do feature selection, like filter-based technique, then penalty-based method, then also exhaustive method. These are some of the methods of feature selection which we did.
Yes.
Okay. The first easy thing to check out which variables are more relevant is to check whether the individual variables are having something to do with the dependent variable. The individual independent variables have something to do with the dependent variable. So that method, if you can recall, that was called the filter-based technique. We used to, in the case of linear regression, we used to check the correlations. And also, we made use of a rank method. Right? Here also, we can make use of a rank method to find out immediately what affects light. Okay? So, how do I do that? I simply go to rank. Under this rank method, now you can see that it uses a something different scheme now. Earlier in regression, we didn't have so many methods of scoring. Okay, now let me explain what these different methods are briefly to just give you an idea. See, and in different methods, you might get different variables as relevant. So generally, we will see which are those variables which are commonly coming in most of the methods. It is so you can think about the scoring methods as judges. Now there can be biases in judges that they will say this person is most important, this person is most important. But in general, if there is a unanimous opinion from all the judges that these people are one of or few people are important people, then it's like we take the wisdom of the crowd on set and say, okay, yeah, I think most of the judges deem these variables as important, some reason. So we can take them as the most relevant variables. Start with. Of course, it doesn't give a guarantee that they are the most because they are individually assessed. Okay, that's the drawback of a filter-based technique. It is like if somebody is coming for recruitment process, okay, they are independently assessed, but they are not assessed in combination with some people. So the group assessment is not done. How they fare in a group, there is not done. Individually, how they fare is done, right? So that is the problem in this type of methods. So that is the drawback of a filter-based technique. Individually, they might be influential, but as a group, they may not get the same influence on that, or they get overpowered by somebody else. Yeah. Right. So, however, this gives you a fair idea about which variables have some relationship with the dependent variable. Okay. Now, which methods to use? Now, strictly speaking, you can use everything and check for yourself. Okay. And see, in general, what are the, you can choose the best rank 5. Okay. You can even increase the number and see if you feel in some cases, it may become like in ANOVA, it's not showing anything. I'll tell you why. Okay. Now, these are some of the scores. Now you can see duration is something which is having some like across multiple scoring methods. Could see duration has something to do with the dependent variable. Yes, that means it seems to be pretty good variable in terms of what is this duration? What does this duration mean here? So let's refer the paper. What does duration mean? This is duration.
This is last contact duration. That is how many times, what is the duration of the call? 20 seconds, that is for the.
For how many times they have been contacted?
Duration of previously scheduled process.
Duration. If they have talked for more time
Yes.
Yes.
or less time, whatever. Okay. So the call duration. Okay. Then final set of selected attributes. Is it shown? The name, was it called duration? Duration.
Just duration.
Okay. The duration of previously scheduled calls. It is a telemarketing success, no? So that's why we are talking about this duration of the call. Duration of the call is something which is important. Okay. So we are clear about that. Okay. Let's handle this one by one. What we do is, yeah. So we got this duration as one of the things. So important variables. Right. Okay. Then what is NR dot employed?
What are the employment?
NR dot employed. Paper, what have you?
What are the average of total number of employed citizens?
Quarterly average of total number of employed citizens. Okay. But how does it matter? Hmm? Does matter. Please will take based on their findings, what this might be mattering. Copy.
I think it matters in the sense like, sir,
Hmm?
if you look at the other variables, the employed, the NR employed, if you're seeing the quarterly average, I don't know, I have a hinge that it matters in the sense like, first of all, about the call schedules, and it's a bank data. So if the client base is more employed, then they can make investments in the bank. So that is why if you look at the other variables, it is saying loan contracts, whether they have a salary account, and how many calls the people are taking up, and the duration of the calls. So that is why the employment, how many clients are basically employed, is important for the bank. That's what I felt.
Okay, you're saying that if there are more number of employed people in the bank, they would be ready to take more calls.
No, not in the bank, but they are saying citizens. Citizens means can also include the clients. So who are employed rather than the
Okay,
rather
first
than
of all,
yeah.
let's understand this. What is this attributes all about? Is it about the client or is it about the company of the bank? I think it is about the client, right?
Yes, sir, it is about the client. It is about
Okay.
the client because it is mentioned, I think, in one of the paragraphs here. Um,
So, yeah, the
yeah.
first thing what we have to understand who is the unit of analysis here. I think he is the client only here, right?
Yes, sir.
TVL methods. Okay. Right. So here the client is the person, client or the customers of the bank. Okay.
Yeah.
So for them, they're making it, and this. Now, what type of when they say that it comes under social and economic indicators, why does this come here? Quarterly average of total number of employed citizens. How does it become the characteristic of a client?
So if
Sorry, sir. Can you please repeat? Repeat the question, please.
I'm asking how does this particular characteristic NR.employed become the characteristic of a customer? Because this value, let's have a look at this value called NR.employed. What does this value contain? NR.
That is one.
Yeah, and it can be common to multiple customers.
Yeah.
That means, see, it's actually not traditionally the characteristic of a particular customer.
Hmm.
So it could be like a group identity. That like no, it's like the institute name affiliation. If you are affiliated with Hackney, I am also affiliated with Hackney. Like that, it's not actually speaking a individual characteristic. It's more about something which is generic, but you belong to that group.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to be clear about that part. Now it is different from, for instance,
Like blue collar married, divorced, single.
like say age. Slightly different from that, in the sense that age becomes more of pure or date of birth and other things. Okay. Now this is like an indicator which in which you belong to. Okay. So that's why it becomes little tricky to understand that, because it talks about other people also to which community you belong to. That's the reason it's not like a demographic characteristic, okay, but more about your social and economic indicators. It's little like a macro level, but it's been studied at this level. Okay. So that's why no, the reason why I'm putting an emphasis here is, so you need to understand sometimes those variables get repeated multiple times if you are belonging to that particular. Okay. Right. So I think they had lot many such variables here. Okay. So which may be seeming like a macro level, but when you're bringing it to an individual level, it will get repeated multiple times. Okay. Because this is calculated from something else. Okay. It is not a direct qualifier. You don't get confused with, for instance, gender. Gender is not calculated for something else. The gender is like what you are, not direct. But here, when something says like quarterly average or total number of employed citizens, okay, it is actually talking about, see, how much this would have been calculated. Is, okay, wherever they would have got employed, those customer of the bank, wherever they are employed, what is their average turnout of number of people there? Quarterly average. See,
Sir, one
how
question.
from where this would have got? I'm just looking. I'm curious about the source of this data. Okay,
Sir, it
NR
can
dot.
also be. Sir, it can also be related to the age, that is quarterly average of the total number of employed citizens. It can also be related to the age, that is people from the age group of basically 20 to 16 can be employed. But in the same age group, in some quarters, some clients can lose their jobs or shift their jobs. So that also can come in this thing.
No, see, you should not confuse this with other. The age is also a separate variable there, right?
Yes.
So we should not confuse this with something which can be directly taken from the individual. Now, this is something which has come as part of a separate calculation where this particular individual was existing. Okay. So it is like this. If I say, what is the GDP related to a particular person? Actually, it is GDP of a nation, of a country. But where is that person staying? Okay, relevant to that, what is the GDP? That has become his characteristic. But that's what I'm just trying to give you a clarification that this is something which is calculated separately, but it has been put as a characteristic of this person because it belongs to that category. Okay. Like it happens even in let's say in this APC when in some cases what they say that if you belong to lower income countries, you be given some discount in the publication charges, right? Is there in of course we have an agreement under MAHE, so so according to that no APC charges in most of the but otherwise, if you are publishing in something which is open access, Okay, they have different amount for authors from belonging to different. Okay. Now, how do they decide the pay capacity of the author? They are asking which country you're belonging to. Okay, not that because the author is poor, they are saying that I will give discount. Okay, there can be a poor fellow in a developed country, but they may not get any discount because they are belonging to that country. So sometimes these type of characteristics, and that's why it becomes interesting. See, it is this particular idea itself to associate some characteristic with a customer. Generally, this is not that's why we have got into Insta. Okay, so that you see that it's not a very natural way of collecting data from an individual. Do you think that anybody would collect data like this? Right. This would have, so it's just that the relationship was sought out. Okay, which category they belong to. Let's say they belong to a particular company. So they would have checked about the employee strength there. And then they have placed this. Okay. So many times there are certain variables which seemingly you cannot collect from an individual, but they are placed it as an individual characteristic because of part of their group dynamics. Okay. So let's say one example from here would be about Airtel giving some postpaid offers. Okay. Here they are giving it very easily to my group of any when I first took over the platinum package for Airtel. Okay. They were ready to give it quickly because I belong to TAPME. TAPME is part of okay, the municipal group. So they wanted the community to give that because that it becomes easy for them to sell. Right? They in bank marketing especially, they are also looking at the group dynamics. So they go with that herd mentality. In the sense that if I pick up this customer, he will tell the other people also. Right? So that with that reason, they are using this as a variable. Suppose you are an individual who is a freelancer, not belonging to any organization. According to their eyes, you are useless fellow. Because it is like they are putting more effort in enticing one person. But if you are part of a bigger community, such as TAPME or Mahe, then the effort is paid off for them. So because you are not only getting that person, you need that word of mouth or any reference from them. That will also help.
If they with Canada Bank also, special case going to my.
The reason is that they are targeting a bigger community. So they can say that this is a bulk customers. They are targeting bulk. Okay. That's what happened for me even during my MBA internship at ICICI Bank. Okay. they gave me one product called, that time it was just launched called PD pen. Okay, so a minor account with the internet banking facility. Okay, and they put up a marketing thing that it will teach the kids the teaching habit. Sorry, teaching it, yeah, saving habit. Sorry, teaching, saving habit.
Sir, sir, one question. When these variables are given, can we draw, correlation between these variables now, for example, between the duration of the call and the
Duration of the call and yes, duration of the call and whether they will get converted ultimately. That is the thing which we are looking at here. Okay. Yes, you are right. We can take that. That's the argument which we are looking at, like why a particular independent variable could be related to the dependent variable. Okay. We are now just trying to figure out what are these independent variables and how they might affect the dependent variable. So that's what our argument is around. So we happen to get this nr.employee as one of the important features as per this rank, right? So we were just trying to figure out what could be the meaning of nr.employee and how does it affect the acceptance of a term deposit. Okay. So indirectly, or it's basically a proxy of a social, or what we generally also have a term called social influence or peer influence, right? Let's say all of you are in Airtel, then I cannot go and take Geo, right? Everyone is in Airtel, why I should take Geo, right? So that type of mentality comes in with this type of. So that's why this variable has been required. Okay. Now, how does this help even in the marketing part? Is basically they are looking at more the average. I feel that's the idea. More the average, more likely chance of getting the person get into term deposit. Okay. They say that most of your peers have taken this. Why don't you try that?
So we are considering the individual attributes, like explanatory power on the dependent variable, not this composite like socio and economic indicators or.
No, it is that. That's what the beauty of and that's why it's in a star paper.
But
Is because what they've attempted is see most of the time, right, when we are trying to see, we look at personal characteristics. But this is one thing, it's a thing, social characteristic which has link with the personal characteristic.
Yes.
So
It's
can we
like-
draw correlation between two variables, sir? That means you're saying between social characteristics and, for example, the client calls or the loans or the.
See, that is okay. That is another aspect which we will see that when we actually create a model, it's just like in linear regression, we saw that there could be correlation between the independent variables and we could have problem of multiple linearity. Yeah. Okay. Here also it's possible. So we have just got started. Okay. First we are just trying to identify which have some potential impact on the dependent variable individually. When we put them together, it may have a ripple effect, or it might happen that they will suppress each other. So that possibility is also there. Okay? Yeah. Right. So we were just trying to understand what could be the reason, because see, these are some of the things which are very interesting way of getting such type of data and saying that it is the characteristic of an individual. This could not be collected in a survey. Okay. This is just added as possibility of an individual characteristic. Okay. It's not like anybody used to watch CID before. Yes. In CID they asked that inspector, that producer, बताओ किसने खून किया? It's not so easy. You directly ask, okay, tell me who is the killer. So they are trying to figure out in a very complex way a variable which could be a individual characteristic. Okay. Right. That's why you can see that the way they are collected, the relationship aspect and other things, right? There are multiple terms which have come together to gather these factors. Okay. I think the easiest part which they have collected might be the gender. Okay. So none of these, I think, it's so easy to get it in only certain. Maybe client-bank relationship, of course, this could be okay. Yes and no type of questions they can answer. Okay, but phone call context, date and time, okay, bank profiling indicators, social and economic indicators, they are not the ones which can be directly asked in the question. Okay. Maybe the first 5 questions can 1 to 4 come here. Some mistake. A star ka paper में mistake. Okay. Okay, mistake.
No, sir, I think they have.
Given the factors.
नहीं पर 15 के दो 4 का है.
Some they have dropped, sir.
They have dropped it.
Yes.
Okay. ठीक है. Let's see.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so that's clear now. Like what could be this? Now, so we. Then Uribor 3M. Uribor 3M. Uribor 3M, what is this? Uribor 3M. Daily 3-month Uribor rate. Daily 3-month Uribor rate. ये क्या है? And I'm surprised that how did they associate with an individual? Daily 3-month Uribor rate.
So euro interbank rate. So between the banks, what is the rate of interest that is being lent out between one bank and another? That is the measure.
But why did they keep it as an individual characteristic? That I not understand.
I'm also not sure on that because when I look at the data points, it's more than 100% in some cases.
That is the.
Daily 3 months Euribor rate. Now that seems to be affecting, but how can they get it different for an individual? That's what I'm not understanding.
Sir,
I think
are they doing it
based on the civil score of the person.
Yeah, how does it affect an individual customer of the bank? How it is related to it? So that's where the interesting thing is. How did they, because see, if it's common for all the bank customers, then it will be same, right? Then there won't be any difference at all. Let's look at the data table, Euribor rate. Oh, how did it become different for different people?
So the rate.
Sir, are they taking for individual bank?
No, this is client only, no.
Yeah.
Individual bank for marital status का रहेगा. See, when they are putting it, see, it is for an individual. Please understand the unit of analysis is an individual bank customer.
Yeah.
Sir, Euribor rate I think is important because it can affect first of all the lending cost of the bank, and this is the rate which sets the base rate for the loans that they provide. So that is why when we connect this
It
Euribor,
become a characteristic of an individual.
sorry.
See, you see here, each row represents a individual customer of the bank.
Sorry, sir, I can't hear actually.
See, here, each row represents the individual customer of the bank.
Yes. So how it,
So this Euribor, like even if I take your point, how does that Euribor 3M differ for each customer? That's where I have a question.
okay.
That means this Euribor 3M, it has something to do with an individual, right? Otherwise, why it would be different for different? Okay, so we have to figure this out.
Yes.
Okay. So what we need to do is, I think we'll do something. We will, this is where we have to make use of all this ChatGPT or Copilot, whichever is.
Sir, it depends. It is different for each customer, I think. Based on,
It's a
first of all,
daily 3-month Euribor rate. Now, what does this daily 3-month Euribor rate mean?
ECB indexes.
sir, daily 3-month Euribor rate is a benchmark. It's a benchmark kind of interest rate, which is used in the European, markets, European money markets, where the banks use these rates to lend to each other. So,
All that is fine. I'm still not convinced about how does it differ for each individual customer of a bank.
it depends upon the credit worthiness of the individual customer, sir. It depends upon the credit score of the customer because it can affect the spread and the margin. And it
So
also.
that means that Euribor rate, what they have calculated, might have included some individual characteristics like this to come to that score.
So usually it is rate plus or minus some amount. So that plus or minus that the bank people.
So that means there is some equation which is not known to us, or it should have been given in the paper, right? How does
It also depends upon the type of the property, sir, or type of the thing, whether it is variable loan or whether it is a fixed loan, and how much spread that the customer is keeping, that is the down payment, and which can result in.
So
Yeah.
it has some element of customer will read into that. So otherwise, how do we understand that as a customer characteristic?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why it's still in the extra because of this reason that it is not seemingly easy to get that by yourself through any survey.
Yeah.
So it has been calculated based on some things. There are some things which either they are collected from the customer or they had it known to them through some other ways and they have weaved that figure out. Otherwise, those values cannot be different from each other. If you only go with the bank rate and other things, because it will be common for everyone. Okay? So, I think we need to figure that out. If it's given in the paper, it's okay. Otherwise, we have to check it with using. So that's why we have to use generative AI to understand such complex things which have come up here. Then what is the reason? How it becomes a customer characteristic, right?
You know, we can give more rich.
Sir, I have not received the paper. Have you shared a paper with us?
You can even check that paper. It will be available, I think.
Okay. This is the name of the paper, The Drivers of Systematic Risk.
No. This one. It's that when I showed you no, that time when we checked. See, when we take this back marketing, this is the paper which you can see references. You should be able to get it, otherwise we will send it again.
Okay, sir. I'll check it.
It's there in Google Scholar. Just paste this one in Google Scholar. I think you should be able to find this. Okay. I think that's something which we need to check that out in the paper.
Interest rate can be different, but variable rate cannot be. Variable rate itself will change. So that is on that. So as we do change the rate based on and again.
That's better. Go to ChatGPT.
I agree. Zero. Yeah, that's taking rate. You don't know.
We just put it here. How do you take this screenshot?
Window shift S. Window shift S.
Window shift S. What the paper? Window shift S.
This
Window shift S. Oh, that's
Activity says Euribor rate is
Euribor
Euribor 3N.
3N. Online.
Changes to get. Based on is it they are connecting with this. Their perception is very consistent.
but if it's stealing the
Also, they are actually in this way.
Saying Euribor 3M, which stands for 3M Euribor, is not a customer specific characteristic. Yes, instead it's a macro we that reflects general economic conditions in the Eurozone. In the study by Moro et al. Was used as one of the social and economic indicators to assess how broader financial conditions influence the success rate of banking for long-term assets. Although it is not tied to an individual customer, Euribor 3M reflects the general economic environment at the time of contact. Influences consumer behavior and decision making, particularly in savings and deposits. Does Euribor 3M have a formula? Is calculated daily using submissions on a panel of European banks. Okay. So trimmed average of 3 months interbank lending rates submitted by national banks. Okay, it significantly influence the deposit related decision on consumer financial behavior. Okay, now let me go to this data. Where is that data? We'll see why does this differ. Okay. So what I'll do is first I'll download this data. Okay. From select column, save the data.
Sorry.
So again, please uncheck the and save as. So bank. Yeah, bank. I just write bank data and additional material. I just say bank data, bank marketing, the bank should be bank. Save. Okay. Now I have saved that bank related data. Now what I'll do is Either I can take a screenshot from here itself, click on the data table and say, because I want to know how these individual values are come. Because
Sir, actually in the paper, if we go, I don't know which page number this is, page number 28. Here it is saying that a lower Euribor, it is not related to the customer thing. It is, they have connected this with the savings rate. So they are saying when considering the Euribor rate, they are saying lower Euribor would result in decline in savings rate, and higher and vice versa.
I get that, but if the Euribor rate, let's say now the first customer, why it is 1.313, for the second customer it is 4.855.
See that a month and day of that particular call is made, we can make a connection it with. For example, if it is the month of August and it is having,
You see the first two itself, May month, Friday,
what is different?
it is completely different.
Okay, but when come to some days we can,
Okay, 1.313 is common, 1.313 is common.
so what its characteristics regarding the two other attributes, like depending upon the call made.
So they are saying here that this contradiction is actually due to the perception of the clients relating to the recession and social depression in Europe. So in that page itself, they are saying also the consumers desire their immediate gratification and the kind of spending money or consumption. So this,
Agreed, all is fine, that's what still, but for this variable, how do we get these different values from the customer side?
Customers, individual profiles.
That's where I'm perplexed. So that's why I'm.
1.313 is there in May Friday, that is 15th observation. First observation is also 1.313, but as you said, this maybe it is a difference in some gender, is some different for that. That is varietal status, it's different for 1 and 2.
But-
So all these are being connected, I guess.
But usually, based on my understanding of this rate, available rate, it does not change based on individual customers' profile, but it changes every day.
Yes, that is getting related, that is the broader sense we are.
But where does the customer come into picture? And why a particular value has been associated with that customer?
So, my
so
understanding
this
is that.
indicates actually that in the last conclusion part, they have actually told that it is varying because that the varying thing is because when the Euribor is decreasing, consumers are, for example, you have seen 0 point something and 1 point something, for the others it is 4 point. That means it is turning the clients more into savings. So that is why the relationship is there, not because of the age or gender.
But how does it differ? So differently, can you see that Euribor 3M, for first one it is 1.313, second one 4.855. See, I can expect some, just levels is okay, I can still get it. But there are no such, seemingly it looks very different from individuals. There's 0.879 also, right, 0.639 also down in row 22. So that's why I'm not getting why, how does this calculation happen? With respect to what is, at least something, some contribution would be there from the customer characteristic into this.
For example, Professor, my understanding is that in India, we look at PLR rate while buying the loan here, usually, right? So maybe in Europe, they consider this as like comparative standard.
Maybe, so that's why we need to have a clarity on that. Window shift S.
When you go the. Only to. And fields. You are the, it's not dated. Then it's easy to see them at the next day. It's Smart group will be this, I guess, my Friday. Shall I be able to so, we have to be on where it's really something, how we are doing.
Extremely good. Say, that could be disappreciating. Very good. Excellent question. Apparent contradiction. The Euribor being a macro level indicator yet varying across customer records is clarified by understanding how the banking data set is constructed. Why does Euribor 3 vary row-wise? Each row in dataset represents a distinct telemarketing call sends to a customer on a specific date or at least during a specific month. Okay, this is simple. While the Euribor rate itself is not specific to a customer, it varies over time. Yes. Daily and especially monthly. The value of Euribor 3M in each row corresponds to the Euribor rate at the time of that particular So the temporal context of the contact is embedded into the row using this macroeconomic variable.
That's what we are saying, but the thing is.
Okay, does this make customers say no, not directly, but indirectly, yes, because different customers were called on different dates. And therefore, the macroeconomic condition at the time of the call influences the observed value. It encodes the economic environment surrounding the interaction with that customer, which may affect their willingness to invest in deposits.
This is what we have connected it with that day and month, right? But there is some differences.
I think there is something else.
Which means this daily change is there for this repo rate. So within day itself, there are multiple things.
No, Professor, can you please go to orange? Orange.
No,
Professor, what's happening is in 1 month there are 4 Fridays, right? If you sort the data by months and days, we easily able to recognize it. So
That's
4 months, 4 days. And days of the week. If you look at the rate now,
we can.
April, Friday.
the rates you can see some similar rates.
But say when I put a filter on month and day of the week, again, there are 10 Euribor rates. Going by is nothing.
No, but that is something we can.
Okay, so that means even the second method, whichever, and then it's getting calculated. Okay, so now see, that's what it puts into understand this way. See, otherwise, you will still keep wondering that how it is varying.
Yeah.
And okay, one more reason why that has become a relevant variable is it is actually having more information compared to a separate variable that day and month.
Yes.
Right? That means it itself is a complex variable which is capturing that environment. That's the reason it has become a most relevant variable.
Yeah.
It is like doing the work of multiple variables. Okay. Right. No, so it's always interesting to understand these type of variables because even in the when you're conducting your research, right? Especially when you have to decide your independent variables, dependent variables. The independent variables don't make seemingly keep it very one-dimensional, right? So that's actually the learning which you need to get from this type of data sets. So when you are capturing something, it should not be one-dimensionally capturing it, right?
Yeah.
So holistically, it has to capture, right? So and once that type of variable is designed, that's why even when it comes to company metrics, don't keep it too simple as a metric, which seemingly seems very obvious, and it only captures very little of somebody's performance or anything. It's a KPI, key performance indicators. So the key performance indicator should not be just one-dimensional, kind of which, yeah, okay, how many sales did he do in a day? That's not very interesting one. Okay. Under what complex situation that did person gather sales? That's more important. Otherwise, you won't get a good picture about the performance of an employee. Right. Under what situation did he get that? Okay. Let's say when it comes to assessing a company's performance. Now, immediately after COVID, okay, the company would have recovered, but performance compared to other years might have been less. So if you are not captured that COVID context at all, then it looks seemingly looks that the company was not performing well, right? So these type of things, these type of variables gives you a lesson that whenever you are designing your variables, lot of thought on that how does it capture multiple things which can be very much powerful in explaining some situation. Right? And most often, if you are looking to target journal side, they want some complexity. Okay. Of course, it should be relevant, but they are designed in such a way that it captures the essence. Okay. So nobody would have thought about this. This will not capture. I mean, sometimes there's like during the phone a call. Okay. Let's say that person whom the customer, the telemarketer had called. They had just come from a cremation of his relative. Okay. And he makes a call that sir, we have a good personal loan for you. Will that person take it? Already बेचारा sad है, okay, वो mood में नहीं है, Even if it was a special offer given to that person, he may not be in the mood, he may not accept it. I'm not bothered, I'm mentally disturbed. Okay, don't bother me. This is it. So now that aspect in the let's say now we want to do a survey on this. That will that get captured anywhere? No. You say that person was produced. That's why he didn't pay. But what was the undergoing environment behind him to answer, respond that way? That is not captured. Right. So that complexity has to be captured somewhere when you are designing some questions. Okay. Yes, this is a very interesting one. Right. Okay. Now I've spent a lot of time in understanding this type of variable. But this is important to understand how it works. Right. So now let's come back to the business about what is logistic regression and how does it work. Okay. See, this is one more interesting thing which you can see. About see, there is something called chi-square also.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, chi-square, again, you have not done chi-square test of independence. No? So basically, these are chi-square values means that it's kind of telling you that there are certain groups aligned with certain categories. Like in this case, when we are saying duration has a higher chi-square with respect to term deposit, what does it mean? Is that there is a certain group of people with whom you had a longer call duration. Okay? They were in favor of the term deposits. And those who had lesser call of duration, or it might be vice versa also. Okay? That means there was a significant difference in the alignment of such type of groups with whom you had more call duration and less call duration, and whether they had taken up term deposits or not. So because of that, the chi-square value is high. Okay, let me put it in a very simple example. Let's say there are 100 people who went to a theater to watch a movie. Okay, watch a comedy movie, right? Among those 100 people, there were say 50 male and 50 female, right? Now, immediately after the movie, somebody was asking, "Did you like the movie?" Right? So among that, it so happened that again there are 50 people who liked the movie and 50 people who didn't like the movie. Okay. And even gender-wise also, let's say 25 male liked the movie, 25 male didn't like the movie. 25 female liked the movie, 25 female didn't like the movie. So is there any relationship between gender and liking of the movie? No, right? Because evenly it is distributed, uniform distribution. We have studied uniform distribution. probability distribution, distribution.
Yes, yes.
So that means when there is uniform distribution across, okay, of people for liking the movie or disliking the movie, then there is no relationship. You cannot make out is there any relationship. Okay, but let's say there is an action movie. Okay, again same 50 male, 50 female men. But then out of 50 males, 45 males like the movie, 5 males dislike the movie. Among the 50 we had of females, almost 45 females dislike the movie and 5 females like the movie. Now, what can you say about this relationship?
We can connect it with gender, like maybe.
You would say that mostly males like the movie and females didn't like the movie mostly. Under such situation, the chi-square value will be very high. Because there is a group which is liking the movie, prominent group which is liking the movie. Also, there is a prominent group which is disliking the movie. Okay. So there is a bigger relationship. Because it's a categorical relationship. And that's why your chi-square value will be high. Because the observed frequency and the expected frequency, there's a huge difference. Expected was that when you say expected, it means there is nothing interesting. You will keep it keep a very like liking and disliking, there won't be any difference. But if observed is more than expected, that means there is a striking difference between observed frequency and expected. That's why the chi-square will be high. Okay, just to give you an indication. So what it means is here the chi-square value seemingly high, very high value means there is a certain group of people with certain duration who have actually taken up the deposit, and of certain duration people they have never taken the deposit. Yeah. So that leveling has been done in such a way that there are some group of people with the duration they had higher tendency to pick up the deposit numbers. Okay, when we get into details, we come to know. Okay, yeah, yeah. Now, let's see. Now that I have downloaded that, imported that data set, let me open JASP. So JASP it's easy for you to understand. One. Band here. इसमें डाल band.csv. I imported that. Okay. Yes. Right. So my y was the dependent variable. As per that. Yeah. So What we can do is go to regression, logistic regression. I'll put y as my dependent variable. Now, let me just take up these two variables now, the duration and which we discussed. Duration, let's start with duration as the covariate. Okay. Now, good. Okay, let's start with this understanding. Let's start with smaller ones and then we'll add more. Okay, now what does this equation mean? Okay. What does this mean? We have used duration. It is, but if you see the estimate, it's showing positive. That means if you have spent more time with the customer in telemarketing, there is some higher chance of get. So you can see Y level, yes, coded as class 1. Okay, I'll tell you what it means. Because you need to understand the equation here, how it happens. Y level, yes, coded as class 1. What does it stand for? It's saying that in that Y, which is your dependent variable, you had yes and no. So yes has been mapped to level 1. Yes has been mapped to level 1. It's showing you that. Yes has been mapped to level 1 and no has been mapped to level 0. That's understood. Okay. Now let me quickly turn to the visual part of it and then the equation. So what we do is in the plot, let me draw this conditional estimates plot. So this will give you an idea about how does it come. I've taken only one variable, so it's easy for you to understand how it comes in. And then I'll start with the equation. How it works. See, in x-axis, you have the duration. Okay. Whereas in the y-axis, because it is a categorical variable. In logistic regression, your dependent variable is a categorical variable. Okay. And in this case, it is a binary variable. Because we are talking about now here are the binary logistic regression. So it's a categorical variable. Okay. Your y which is your dependent variable is a categorical variable. We are not talking about the actual value of y, but we are talking about the probability of y achieving a particular level. See, y has two levels. What are the two levels? Either the person has taken the term deposit, yes, or not taken the term deposit, no. Right? Yes. And as per this equation, you could see here, the y level yes is coded as class 1, which means that the other one is class 0. Okay? So you see this probability of this, the y-axis, which you see here, it is probability of getting the term deposit, availing the term deposit, or not availing the, okay. But we will say y equal to yes, right? So y equal to yes means, what it means? One, what does y, probability of y equal to yes equal to 1 mean? That is certainly that person is taking deposit. Is that, and 0 means he is not at all interested in taking the term deposit. Okay. So what's happening? Okay. Here you see there is a curve. Okay. Now this curve actually resembles a sinusoidal S. It's not such a nice S here, because the data is real, right? Usually if you make up some data, it would come as a nice S shape. So this is S. So what you have to understand is that in logistic regression, this probability will not be very sharp, in the sense that see, if you look at this duration 100 till it's like this. Now it is how much? 11:40. Are you hungry?
Okay.
11:40, you are not hungry. Okay. Maybe even till 12:30 you may not be hungry. But anything past 12:30, okay, every 1 minute you start feeling hunger pangs. Right? That means it doesn't matter even if I keep some eatables here, you won't feel like having it. You'll have it anyway. Huh? Right?
Yes.
But like if you do not have hunger, so let's say you won't have it. Okay? But after 12:30, you cannot resist it. Right? So here what's happening? When does it reach 0.5? When does this probability reach 0.5?
So, somewhere near 1,000.
Huh?
So somewhere near 1,000.
Somewhere near 1,000.
Yes.
Okay. That means, what does it mean? That if you want to get at least 50% probability of getting a success at the term deposit,
What duration should be?
call duration should be at least, what, how much seconds, sir?
1,000 seconds. Seconds.
1,000 seconds.
16 minutes.
That means otherwise, do not hope for having any success. See, it's like this, that unless the person is interested, we start the call now. Yes. So that means to convince a person to get a term loan, You have to give good amount of explanation, so the time duration will be spent more. You cannot expect them to get convinced very easily. Okay. Correct?
Yes.
So, it's actually like a training part for the marketing executives, right? Not that easy. Just don't become impatient. अरे क्यों नहीं दे रहे? How much he is asking? How many questions he is asking? Right? Because if the customer is interested and they will keep popping up with different questions, right? So they will pick up that much time to get convinced. Okay, so minimum 1,000 seconds is required. Okay, to at least get to the 50% mark. And of course, it goes on. Okay. Now, what is another problem? Okay. So, what we can say is, let's say more than 50% is there, then there is a tendency that person has a scope of getting convinced. Yeah, after this, success rate will be increasing. The success rate is more. It happens with PhD students also. A presentation may the guide will not get convinced. Yeah, no, I think you are still raw. You are not prepared. Right? After 5-6 presentations, okay, now you are somewhat prepared. Because by the time the guide is already tortured. Okay. Or even the doctor student is saying, sir, हमको माफ कर दो यार, कितना बार करवाओगे? Okay. 5 बार करवाओगे, तक नहीं है यार. The other way of convincing.
When the customer is getting convinced at 2,000 duration itself, then why to go for 3,000 and 4,000?
No, those were
No.
all numbers. These are real data, so.
See, you
This is
see,
the point.
there are some spots which are, you see, there are hardly any people who have gone till that.
There is one first.
So you see the dots there, right? See, it doesn't, see, it's just the projection of the curve, suggesting that if you are following the logistic regression model, okay, see, there are many people around here. Okay, there are some people who have got convinced.
Yeah.
At the lesser duration also. Okay. It's not that all customers are talent. Right? So there are people who have got convinced quickly.
That data point is 3,643 seconds. 1 hour.
Sometimes it happens to get somebody convinced, it might take time. Okay. It means to say, tough professor to crack. Right? Yeah.
Yes.
So that happens. Right. So now this is the way the logistic regression operates. So that means it goes with the choice of the customer, which may not be very linear. Okay. So the probability of success is calculated using this logic. So I'll come to that logic regression later. Okay. Here, this is the visual understanding how it operates. Now, how do we get the equation written? Yes. Okay. So the equation here, duration, how it is connected. So first of all, let's write the equation. Log so it is log of logistic regression. Then not getting into derivation and other things not required. So log of log to the base e. It's a natural logarithm. Okay. So log to the base e. So log of what was that y? That was your dependent variable. Yes. Now y equal to here. Please remember that whenever you are writing a logistic regression equation, it is always for level 1. So in general I'll write as y equal to 1. Okay. This is the left hand side of the expression, and the right hand side is like your linear regression. Okay. Right hand side, what is that? V0 plus V1x, like that, no? So here, what in your case, what is the thing?
Duration.
What was the value? Intercept, no?
Yes.
Minus 3.412. Not this one. This one. Okay, why? Because this is the model with duration. So minus 3.412 minus 3.412. That's it. Is that
Plus
less
0.004.
0.004
0.004
into duration. Duration. Okay. But here, what is actually one?
Converting it into
So one of that levels is been mapped to level 1. Which one is that?
yes.
Yes. So yeah. So let me write this once more. So it is log of. In this case, it is y equal to yes is the that level which has been mapped to level 1. But you should always remember that the equation is always for that level 1, not for level 0. Okay. So you should be very clear about which is level 1, which is level 0. Okay. Now, the question which we answered using like here we said to get 50% success, Okay. One minute, I think I missed out something. Wait, it's not so simple. Okay. See, it's not log of y equal to 1. Doesn't make sense. Log of, there is a like, there is one expression called odds. So odds of y equal to 1. I'll tell you what it is odds. That's what I wanted. Simple as well. Odds y equal to it's log of odds. Now the question is, what is odds? Okay. Now odds have been a term which has been defined for logistic regression as, let me define here, odds of y equal to 1. What is it? It is nothing but probability of success divided by probability of failure. So it is probability of y equal to 1 divided by probability of y equal to probability of success. So they are going to be complementary events. So probability of y equal to 1 divided by, how do you write complementary event? 1 minus, sorry, 1 minus probability of y equal to 1. P upon 1 minus P. P upon 1 minus P. Yeah. So when they use this term, what are the odds of India winning the match? They say probability of India winning the match divided by probability of India losing the match. Right? Yeah. Yeah. So I was coming to that. Here we said if I want to find out what is the likelihood of a person accepting the term deposit. Okay. So we generally say that if that person has probability more than 0.5, they have a tendency to avail the term deposit. Right? In this case, when we say probability is more than 0.5, they have a tendency to avail the term deposit. Okay. So if I have to answer that question, that how much time one needs to spend so that there is some chance of success. That means it should be, you have to substitute what? Probability as 0.5.
Yes.
Correct? Yes. Now, how do I do that if I have to solve this problem? Like how much duration I should spend so that my probability
Is 1.
is 1 or 0.5?
0.5.
At least 0.5. Huh? So that means it should be 0.5 is the break.
Yes.
Okay. So if I say P of y equal to 1 is 0.5, what will happen to my odds? If P of y equal to 1 is
Equals to 1.
0.5. Okay. Then what will happen to my odds of y equal to 1?
What will be your one?
Odds will be
1.
1, right? 1 upon 1 minus 0.5.
Yes.
0.5 upon 1 minus 0.5. So it would be
1.
1. One.
Yes.
So what if odds of y equal to 1 is equal to 1?
Yes.
That means,
Log of.
so then what will happen to my log of odds of y equal to 1?
Log of.
So log of
1.
odds y equal to 1 will become log of odds of odds of y equal to 1 is 1, right?
Yes. Yes.
So this will be log of 1. Log of 1 means what? Log of 1 means what?
0.
0. What is log? Log of 8 to base 2 means is 3. Will be 2 to the power 3 equal to 8. Okay. So log of 1 to base e means e to the power of something is equal to 1. So it has to be 0. Okay. So this should be 0. So my in that case my left hand side would be 0 if I see the expression first. Okay. So if I put my left hand side as 0, it would be 0 equal to minus 3.412 plus 0.004 into duration.
Yes.
So my duration would be equal to 3.412 divided by 0.004, which would be 3412 divided by 4,
Yes.
which is equal to how many seconds?
853. 853 seconds.
853 seconds. So that means if you have to get some probability of success, at least more than 0.5. Okay, this is the bare minimum effort you have to put.
15 minutes.
Okay, so 852 seconds, 15 minutes.
14 minutes.
14.
14.
14. Yeah. Okay. Divided by 16. Yes. So 14 minutes effort has to be put minimum up to that 0.5. As per the model. Yes, that is the interpretation you can understand. Okay? You know this?
Yes.
853 seconds. And that's what gets mapped out for here. 853 the you see that
Yes.
graph you can see that.
Yeah.
Was here? Okay. Now, one more interesting thing which you see in this logistic regression is about yes. Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Ah,
I may have to, excuse me, sir, I may have to drop off because I have relieving duties since Bangalore University exams are going on. So, with your permission, can I drop off?
okay, no problem.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
ah. So 853 seconds is the minimum thing which you require, okay. So I was saying that there is one more interesting aspect to this. Let's say this equation, I transfer the log part to the right hand side. Okay. So what will happen? If odds y equal to yes will be equal to, when I say log sending to the other side, it will be e to the power of. So e to the power, e is the natural logarithmic constant. So e to the power of, so I'm just writing everything, that the whole thing I'll just keep it, right? So e to the power of minus 3.412, but because it's a plus, you know exponential this, so it will become multiplication. Right, so this is multiplication, so I'll multiply it by the limit, or you can put dot also. Yeah. So e to the power of point 004 into duration. Okay. Yeah. So odds of y equal to s is e to the power of minus 3.412. Minus 3.412 is the intercept. Okay. So e to the power of minus 3.412 into e to the power of 0.004 into duration. Okay. Now this particular expression which you see, e to the power of, okay, and okay, now if I, let's say I simplify this further, this one, particularly this one, what will happen? I can write I'll keep this as it is, e to the power of minus 3.412, and then this multiplication. Okay, now this part, now that the 0.004 into duration, how do I can put, how I can put this? I can put it like this. That's right, e to the power of 0.004. Where does the duration come? Not mass multiplication. It would be to the power of. No.
It will
Power में आएगा.
not come down.
It will not come down. Huh?
Yeah.
So let me write this and then change it to superscript. And font. Okay? Now I deliberately wrote this so that you understand. Now this expression you see, E is a constant value. Okay, that is 2.71828. The E value is 2.71828. Natural logarithmic constant. Okay. Now, this is a constant value. Right. So now this expression which you see, this one and this one, this can be rewritten as odds value. So it's a odds of the intercept. And this is the odds of the variable. Okay. So it's also called as odds ratio. Just go to that. In the model statistics. There is something called odds ratio written, right? Yes. So if you click on this odds ratio, what will happen? So this odds ratio, you see it is 0.033. Yes. This one, it is e to the power of minus 3.41. You put it in Excel and see, you will get that. Or you will see that Excel. Excel, you put equal to EXP. What is that? How much was the estimate?
3.4.
3.412. Is 30.3. 30.3. This is how much we got it?
We have not put the negative.
No, minus,
Negative.
minus 3.412, not plus. Minus. 100 is कितना बड़ा किसका? 0.03. And same way, what was your coefficient for that?
0.004.
0.004. 004. That your odds ratio is 1.6. Okay. Yes. Now, if you so, what is the meaning of this? Why did we again calculate odds ratio? The meaning is that now, if I just go to let's go there. I will just put the values now. This is odds of intercept, odds ratio of odds ratio of intercept I'm writing. Multiplied by odds ratio of duration. Odds ratio of duration. See, don't get confused. I'm just writing it as odds ratio of duration raised to odds ratio of duration raised to duration. That's no, so I will put that as the subscript. Or this means we don't write raised to. It's understood. Okay.
Yes.
Now you see. If the odds ratio, now if the non-duration, I told that 853 seconds are required to get that success above 0.5. Probability above 0.5. Okay. Let's say I take up some 1 second more, 854. How much will my odds improve? So that odds, so you put +1, say whatever duration you have. First you calculate for 854 seconds, how much is my odds? Alright. For 853 seconds, how much is my odds? For y equal to yes? 1. Okay. Let me explain this with example itself. When duration was 853 seconds, what's my odds of y equal to yes? It is
1.
1, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now when I put 1 second extra more. Okay, so when duration was 854 seconds, what would be my odds ratio? Can you just calculate and tell me? In Excel, just put the values, just tell me how much it is. You know the odds ratio, you know the odds ratio of intercept. Is there? No.
Yes, in the.
So how much is this?
Jesus.
What time is it? Why it taking so much time? Just multiply this now. How much is the odds ratio of interceptor?
Sir, I got that, but the last one, putting it to the exponential power.
Yeah, okay. Go to Excel mobile.
Yeah.
Okay, or tell me odds ratio of, what is the odds ratio in the,
0.033. If we multiply it by the.
this is the odds ratio of,
Yes.
Into
Intercept is minus 3.412.
into
Minus 3.412.
raised to duration, no?
Yes, sir.
So raised, this sign. Into duration how much? 854.
854.
Other 854. That's it. Huh? Correct?
Yes, yes.
That's it. You got
Yes.
1.0048. Why did you get that? It is same as your odds ratio issue.
Yes.
I just wanted to demonstrate why did you get that? Because you at 853 seconds it was 1. 854 seconds, it only gets multiplied by the odds ratio of your duration.
Yeah.
I wanted to demonstrate that, that's the reason I told you to calculate. At 853 seconds, it was exactly 1. Right? 1 second extra, क्या हुआ? That odds will get multiplied by the odds ratio of duration. Because it is a incremental exponential part. Huh? So this odds ratio of duration becomes the multiplicative factor. अगर 855 होता तो 855 होता तो what happens?
1 point.
Okay, make it 855 and see. What would have happened if it was 855? 2 seconds extra. तो क्या होगा? 1.008 हो गया. But why? What is this 1.008? It is 1. If this you square it, how much will it? See, it goes in the exponential system. Oh, multiplicative factor. That odds ratio becomes multiplied. Geometric progression. Okay.
Yes.
So that many times it will get amplified with extra unit.
Yes.
It gets into multiplicative mode. See, this is the difference between logistic regression and linear regression. Linear regression, it is additive. Okay. Whereas this is multiplicative. Yes. So that's what I wanted to demonstrate.
Yeah.
So that is the relevance of that odds ratio. Sometimes they say, right, if you had one like for loan purpose or civil score purpose, they say if you had this car, you would have been eligible. So because that would have amplified it exponentially. Okay. Multiplicative times, odds increase. Chances of you getting a loan just because you have shown in the asset one car extra. Car. density layer task. We get some credits.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, this is what we meant by multiplicative mode. So it would be same as your odds ratio of duration because it was one, no? So one into that the same. So it gets multiplied by that number of duration, extra duration.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to tell. Okay, I think you got the fundamental idea for logistic regression. Same way, when you add the other things, you come. For instance, now, just like we have an R square in linear regression, here we generally use this method and R square. So almost the same interpretation like the like here it says 0.8183, it means 18.3%. Changes are explained by duration. Okay. So that is the meaning which it gives. And of course, p-value has the same meaning as what we want. If you wanted to compare the variables, then you actually have to use the standardized coefficients. You check that, you get the standardized coefficients here. Of course, here we have only one variable right now. So standardized coefficient is different from odds ratio. You don't get confused. It is just this is unstandardized estimate, this is standardized estimate. Okay. If you want to do a comparison with which variable is more better, so let's which one was that? Euribor. Let's take Euribor now. Then of course now you get even estimates plot for Euribor separately. Euribor seems to be negative side. Minus 0.685. What is it become? What is Euribor?
It's a rate of
European rates, interbanking rate.
Interbanking rate is more than transfer rate will be less.
Less inverse relationship.
Is it logically right? Like I don't know. Finance future.
yes. The
It is high,
rate
it
is
is not there.
yeah, but the lending rate between the banks are high, then the cost for the entity.
Okay. Logically it would be. Okay. And both are significant gains. And yeah, your method and R square has increased 32.9. Earlier it was 18. Was at 2.9. And yes, and which one is more influential? Seemingly, even duration is still more influential. Okay. See, forget about the negative sign, but look in the magnitude wise also. Till from standardized coefficient, you can say duration is more important compared to this variable. Yes, yes. Yeah. Right. And one more thing which you have to keep in mind is, this is what I even tell in some cases. Like if you report 3, do you have any control over this flow? Okay, like we have to be very speculative. इसी टाइम को मैं कॉल करूंगा, is it possible? Okay. That's why sometimes the so-called, the instant paper becomes irrelevant with this type of very things. It is interesting that it has been included and it has become significant, but it's practically useless. Can I make use of report 3 anyway for any intervention?
Same rate, daily change to return.
It's the same thing I told you. My extra guy, because of complexity, but is it practically useful for any intervention? If I have to give practical implications based on this. Now we can
But
understand.
since it is connected with the savings, so their probability of subscription of savings generally can be recognized, like how the savings. Like,
So now the question is if I have to write practical implications.
That's,
So what I should write?
that's what I'm saying, like Euribor rate is connected with the savings rate. So banks can formulate, the savings rate of banks are different. They are just, it's a base rate. Euribor is a base rate. Upon that, they are having some spreads. So designing the spread, the bank can take the, how the connection is related with this.
So for whom this has been designed?
Marketers.
Marketers. समझ में आया उसको? Like, you tell me, does it make sense to like see here we can say duration.
Yeah.
See, Baba, you don't give an impatient, spend more time, explain each and everything. Okay, so this makes sense. Okay. And okay, so that practical relevance we can give. This is an interesting phenomenon. Okay, interesting phenomenon doesn't mean that every time it is useful. This, I think sometime writing even in LinkedIn there was a post that why one should accept a paper. Is it that the paper is interesting or the paper is correct? Okay, interesting. Recently, I rejected one paper. So it was interesting, but it doesn't have a practical impact wise, it is harmful. One fellow wrote that, and it's from the age journalism. I got a chance to read it, personal review. Okay. And from the context, I understood that it has come from Pakistan. Not because it was from Pakistan, I rejected that. But it was ridiculous, though it is interesting. Right? They said that being workaholic, it gives positive vibes. Okay, because it makes life meaningful. That's what it was projected. The meaningfulness was the mediator. Okay, they said that if you are a workaholic, it gives more meaning to your life, and thereby you will feel satisfied. Okay. Interesting. It's interesting because traditionally the researchers say that alcoholism will lead to burnout.
Yeah.
In fact, my recent one of the co-author about Kanika's this right. He wrote the other way around. that do not chase perfectionism, go for excellenceism, that's good. For perfectionism, you will get burnout because you become tend to become workaholic towards reaching that, and then you will get burnout. Okay, we wrote in that sense. Okay, it was not because of that. So what would be the implications if we say that this is fine? You're saying that, sorry, the windows are equal. Are we telling that giving a wrong signal, right?
Yeah.
Giving a wrong message that, yeah, please make people work on it. Give them more work. Okay. And they are conveniently not even discussed the burnout. Life meaningful हो जाएगा, work meaningful हो जाएगा, and that's why they will feel satisfied. Basic. I outrightly said, we will be conveying a wrong message. First of all, it is much of a overstatement. And that statistics wise, it was not that significant. थोड़ा significant था वो p value से छोड़ के big किया उन्होंने paper. So I rejected that paper because I didn't want a wrong message to be conveyed. But tomorrow I will like research proof here. Then it is a it should not be harmful to people, no? When you say that it's right. So, yeah, sometimes I'm just maybe I might have gone beyond the context, but I think that sometimes some variables might be interesting to study. It's like solving trigonometric identity. Or if you those who would have said no, prove that from LHS equal to RHS. It might be interesting to do that. It might give you mathematical sum. It has to be practically relevant. We'll stop here. That's why sometimes people lose sight about where it might lead to. Say, theoretical contribution might be there. We might say interestingly that yes, we can see that this and this. But it loses its sight from who was the audience, whom this paper was meant for.